The hurricane had come without mercy. For days, the town had braced itself against the warnings, boarding up windows, gathering emergency supplies, preparing for the worst. But nothing could have fully prepared them for the storm's wrath. The winds ripped through the streets like raging beasts, tearing trees from their roots and hurling debris into homes. Floodwaters surged through neighborhoods, swallowing streets, cars, and anything that stood in their way. Families fled to emergency shelters, clutching loved ones, carrying what little they could. In the chaos of evacuation, pets were lost. Some slipped from their owners' grips in moments of panic. Others were left behind when families had no choice but to flee. Many animals wandered aimlessly in the aftermath, shivering, hungry, and alone. And that was where the volunteers came in. Day 1, a place of refuge. The emergency animal shelter took shape within hours of the storm passing. A group of local volunteers transformed an old-school gymnasium into a makeshift rescue center, hauling in crates, blankets, and food donated by the community. Word spread quickly, and the calls started flooding in. Reports of stranded animals, lost pets, and desperate owners searching for their beloved companions. The first arrival was a drenched Labrador mix found wandering near a collapsed porch. His fur was thick with mud, his ribs visible beneath his soaked coat. A volunteer named Mara knelt beside him, wrapping him in a warm blanket. "You're safe now," she whispered, cradling him against her chest. Within hours, more came. A terrified tabby cat was pulled from the branches of a fallen tree. A parrot, once the pride of an elderly couple, was rescued from the wreckage of his broken cage. Horses were led in from abandoned pastures, their hooves unsteady with exhaustion. The shelter filled quickly. Volunteers worked tirelessly, cleaning wounds, providing food, comforting animals with gentle voices and soft touches. They knew that many of these creatures had homes, families who might be searching for them. The challenge now was finding those connections again. Day 3, the search begins. The shelter launched a mission: reunite lost pets with their families. Flyers were printed, detailing the rescued animals, and distributed across town. Images flooded social media, pictures of dogs, cats, birds, and even rabbits found wandering after the storm. One afternoon, a volunteer named Luis received a call. A family had seen a picture of a white and gray tabby on the shelter's website. Their cat, Belle, had gone missing the night of the hurricane, slipping through an open window in terror. The family arrived at the shelter hours later, their eyes scanning the rows of kennels in anxious desperation. And then it happened. A soft meow, a flicker of recognition. Belle lifted her head at the sound of her owner's voice, blinking uncertainly. When the young girl called her name, Belle let out a louder cry and pushed herself against the kennel bars. Tears spilled onto the mother's cheeks as she gathered the trembling cat into her arms. "We thought she was gone forever," she whispered, pressing her face into Belle's fur. Volunteers watched in silence, exhaustion momentarily forgotten. It was reunions like this that fueled them to keep going. Day 7. More arrivals, more reunions. The days blurred together, filled with long hours of cleaning, feeding, searching. More families arrived, desperate to find their lost companions. More rescues came in, found wandering through flood-damaged streets and broken homes. An elderly man arrived, searching for his German shepherd, Riley. His hands trembled as he described the last moment he'd seen him, forced to flee as floodwaters surged into his house. The volunteers recognized Riley immediately. He had been among the earliest rescues, found pacing through the wreckage, hesitant but strong. The moment his owner entered the kennel area, Riley's ears perked. His tail hesitated, then wagged wildly. The reunion was loud, filled with cries of relief, laughter, and Riley pressing his weight against his owner, vibrating with joy. More followed. A young boy found his lost rabbit, cradling the small creature against his chest, tears streaking his cheeks. A woman was reunited with her 3 parrots, whispering their names over and over as they chirped back in excitement. But not every story had a happy ending. Some animals remained unclaimed, their families lost in the storm. Some were injured too severely to return home. The volunteers took them in, refusing to let them feel forgotten. Day 15. A community heals. As the days passed, something incredible began to happen. The shelter became more than just a refuge. It became a place of healing. People who had lost everything found comfort in caring for the animals. Strangers became friends, bonded over the shared pain of the disaster and the unwavering hope of bringing lives back together. One evening, Mara noticed something different. The shelter was emptier. More than half the animals had found their families. Others had been placed in loving homes. Some had been transferred to larger rescue organizations with the resources to support them. The gymnasium, once filled with desperate cries, was quieter now, peaceful. Luis sighed as he leaned against the doorway, rubbing his tired eyes. "We did it," he murmured. "We actually did it." And they had. They had salvaged something precious in the wake of disaster. Amid the destruction, they had restored love, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between people and their beloved pets. As the town slowly rebuilt, the shelter stood as a reminder. In the darkest moments, kindness endured. And for every animal that found its way home, the volunteers carried the quiet knowledge that they had helped mend just a small part of a broken world. Their work was far from over, but for now, beneath the dim glow of emergency lights and the soft hum of sleeping animals, they allowed themselves a rare, quiet moment. They had done enough. And in this place of second chances, hope had never been stronger.